Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to Isolation Libations. I'm Joey Joyce. I'm your bartender. This is episode number 45. It's Friday afternoon, going on to the evening. Happy Friday, everybody. We made it. Another week in the books. One week closer to normalcy. I went to a bar the other day. That was pretty amazing. Felt really good to get back in there and starting to see things come back to life. I can't wait. I guess that means eventually I'll have to work in an actual bar, not this out here amongst the trees, which will be very nice, but I will kind of miss this too. Anyway, let's see. If you've been watching, you know that we make cocktails to pair along with my buddy Brian Chartrand's music. He has a live show every weeknight at 5 o'clock on Facebook. So it's facebook.com/Brian Chartrand Music, all one word there. And so he's done, I believe, he's on 46 shows, I believe, and I'm on 45, so I think I'm only one behind him now. But that's 45 different cocktails, and they have ranged from classics to originals. Whenever possible, I try to match them up to one of his songs. Made one for his dog. Sometimes even just like cover songs that he does will inspire a cocktail. Now this one for today is a little bit different. It's a different cocktail, but it came off of something that Brian said on one of his happy half hours a couple weeks ago. Now I want to play for you what he said. I'll try to show you, but the lighting's not so hot. But I just want you to hear what this guy said, and this is, where
I cut a lot of good stuff out.
This cocktail came from.
You got it. I can't do any better than that. Well, I can do maybe like 5% better than that. I could. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll go full voice on the end. Give it some. Give it some beef underneath. What? I don't even know what that means. But I will say it again. All right, what we got?
So yes, he says I'm gonna give it a little beef underneath. He had just finished singing a Prince song, and felt that maybe he didn't do it justice, or thought he could improve how he performed the song. So to him, that meant giving it a little more beef underneath. Now I'm at home watching this, on my computer, and I hear beef underneath. I think, oh, that's a great cocktail name. Got to make a cocktail for that. So I shoot him a comment, hey, I'm going to make a beef underneath cocktail. And then this is what he says to that.
I have to dust that off. I don't know. Let me see if I even have it in here. And Joey, please don't make a beef underneath cocktail. That's not happening, bro. That's bad. No, just don't, please. Don't do it. Beef underneath. See, now great.
So, a little advice to any musicians out there. If you have a friend who makes cocktails and likes to kind of get creative with it, and you tell him not to make a cocktail, just be prepared for him to definitely make that cocktail. So, without further ado, I present the beef underneath cocktail. So let's get this thing rolling. Now, the beef underneath is essentially a Bloody Mary with a few twists. Obviously, you had to get beef involved. So we've got some beef jerky in the garnish. We've got some beef bone broth going in there as well. And then, sorry, something flew in my mouth. Gross. Now, Bloody Mary typically is vodka. Now, if you're making a cocktail called a beef underneath, you can't use vodka. You kidding me? You gotta use something beefy, a nice, full-bodied, high-proof bourbon. So we're using the Old Grandad 114 bourbon. Now that, I think, is gonna give it a nice little beef underneath to do it justice. Now, there is one kind of homemade ingredient, well, I guess two, I suppose. This is an oregano-infused rainwater Madeira. I know that's not a usual thing. We did use it for another cocktail in the past, and I said, if you get rainwater Madeira, I'll make cocktails with it, so it won't be a wasted purchase. But if you just have rainwater Madeira, you can use that. You could probably omit this and it would still be fine, but having that oregano and kind of those oxidized flavors from the Madeira does add something to the drink. So if you can do it, do it. And then the Bloody Mary mix. In the picture, that I will post for this drink. I will also give the recipe for my own Bloody Mary mix recipe that I've kind of settled on that I like. I'm not a big Bloody Mary guy, but I do like this one. So I'll give you the recipe for that. If you already have your own kind of recipe, that's great, use that. If there's a pre-made one that you really vouch for and really enjoy, you could do that. But I feel like it's another thing that it's not that hard to make. And if you can make it yourself and kind of make it your own, it's just gonna suit your palate better, and you know, you might like it more. And I guarantee it's gonna have like less preservatives and stuff than a store-bought one. So try making your own, and just, you know, make about that much. That's gonna make a couple drinks. Well, it would make a couple if I wasn't using this giant mason jar for this cocktail. Again, beef underneath. Gotta be beefy, gotta be a big drink, and this definitely is. All right, let's start making this drink. The very first thing is you want to get a piece of beef jerky. I'm using this nice kind of like more chunkier. It's not quite as dry as some beef jerky. And you're gonna put that in the bottom of your glass, because if a cocktail is named the beef underneath, you should probably have some beef underneath the cocktail. I mean, it makes sense to me. Now, let's start with the Madeira. This is a pretty simple construction. The hardest part is probably just making your Bloody Mary mix. Other than that, it goes together pretty quick. I was not gonna walk you through the whole thing of doing this because that would take way too long and not be all that exciting. So the rainwater Madeira will go 1 ounce. Now this is a drink I'm not gonna shake because it's gigantic. I would need a much larger shaker. I'm gonna use 2 of the large side of a shaking tin, and we'll roll it back and forth with ice to kind of get everything mixed up and incorporated. If I tried to shake it, it would be messy and gross and everywhere, and it's no good. So let's take our old granddad 114. I was going back and forth on using 2.5 ounces or 2 ounces. I settled on 2.5 ounces because, again, there's a lot of liquid going in here. So there's your 1/2 ounce, and then let's get your 2 ounce. Now this drink will definitely have your recommended sodium intake from all the Bloody Mary mix, I'm sure. Probably just have one of these. All right, bone broth, beef bone broth, of course. Come on, don't mess with that chicken stuff. You gotta have the beef and the beef underneath. And we're doing 3 ounces of this. This particular one I'm using is cool because it does have some nice flavor, other flavors besides just the beef bone. It's splashy. It's a beef jalapeno sea salt, all grass-fed beef. That's good stuff and good for you, so you know, there's that. All right, now for your Bloody Mary mix, make sure it's all shaken up well, and then we're going to go 6 ounces of this. So probably if you had a little measuring cup, it would be easier to measure it, but I don't, so I'm just gonna do this. So 2, 4, 6 ounces. And that's it. So now we're just gonna roll it with ice. And this is a drink that we'll use the same ice that's in this shaker to dump it in. We're not gonna do it over fresh ice. Now, knowing me, when I do this, I very likely could get a little messy, so I will try to, well, you're not really actually here, so I can't splash on you, but. So this is it, you're just rolling it back and forth. If you're feeling saucy and confident, you can, you know, stretch it out, but with ice in there, you get splashes like that. And you really just wanna make sure everything's mixed up, incorporated. So whenever you feel the Madeira, the bourbon, the bone broth, the Bloody Mary mix is all mixed up, you can stop. And then we're just gonna, like I said, just pour it right on into our mason jar. Oh, look at that, on the dot. And then, of course, a garnish. You need to have a bunch of pickled things. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot to do the rim. But if you want to do the rim, you take some Maldon sea salt and Old Bay spices and line the glass. I can still do it. Should I do it? Let's do it. Check it out. Still gonna make this happen. So take your lemon wedge, again, just run it around the rim of the glass. And then, yeah, so like I said, this is smoked Maldon sea salt and Old Bay. Just mix. This will give you a nice little smoky notes to it. A little salt, because you don't have enough salt from the tomato juice, I'm sure. Yeah. See, we'll just pretend that never happened. It needed one more roll. I could tell it just wasn't quite mixed up enough. Now, so you got your beef underneath there, and then we need more beef underneath. So, went ahead and took beef, got your olive, got your pickled green bean, your pickled okra, your onion, some spicy Louisiana peppers, all sitting above the beef. So the beef is underneath. Did I go too literal with this drink? No way. And then you can serve it with like a metal straw if you have. I'm doing it with like one of these old school kind of cocktail spoons, because you may want to kind of mix it up as you go. And I don't think I have a swizzle stick that's even like long enough to kind of give it a stir. And this feels right. So there it is, my friends. Brian Chartrand. There is your beef underneath. You said it couldn't be done, but it's been done. And let's see how it tastes. Man, it's a drink fit for the king, for Elvis, and everybody else out there. Oh, that's good. That's a meal right there. Well, anyway, cheers. Have a great weekend. I will see you on Monday. Aloha.